What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Thor Media podcast. I'm your host, Sock from Detailing Made Simple, and today I have something special for you all. So for this week's video will be a special one. As you can see, my vehicle is super dirty. It's been sitting outside the dealership for about 2 weeks because they did some repairs on the rear frame. And yeah, that is pretty much it. My car was hit on the side and a couple of repairs needs to be done. I got to take care of the body work for the door panel, but in terms of the wheel frame and everything, that's already taken care of. That was the most important part because my car was every time I hit a little pothole, since it was misaligned, it was pretty much wiggling on the back end. It was really yeah, just needed to be taken care of. So yeah, so for this video we will be doing a 2 pH wash, and that's it. We're not going to do a full decon on everything because we already did the decon wash a little over a month and a half ago, pretty much in December. And that was the 6-month decon wash, and it doesn't really need to get an iron remover, all that stuff. You just see a whole bunch of water spots that's like forming and building up, and we really want to take care of that as early as possible so that way it doesn't clog up your coating or your paint in due time. So in terms of the 2 pH wash, yes, we all know Primus. That's what I typically always use, so I will be using Primus. But the purpose of this video, I know this is in a little cute little bottle like this, but this was Titan Tim who gave me Reset. He bought this with his own money. He just said, hey, give this a shot when you do your decon wash or whenever you're ready to give a decon wash to any vehicle. And that is Reset. So this will be the primary review of this video, is Reset. Now it is a 3-in-1, so it's like a mild strip wash where it mildly cleans, the traffic film and stuff, but it really attacks the water spot minerals and the water softening capabilities that it has. So that is the purpose of it. Now that's why I'm doing a 2 pH wash, because Reset will really work its best if you use an alkaline type of soap first. So meaning if you use, say, Primus, Built Hamburg Touchless, Chemex, Stars and Stripes, the alkaline one, if you put that on first, let that dwell, rinse it off, and then foam this on, then it will attack the minerals a lot better for sure. And that's pretty much with any chemical. If you're using Purifica, Stars and Stripes, any type of acidic soap that you want to tackle those minerals, it's always best to get most of that gunk off first off the paint. Now, if you like this type of video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We'll get to the 2 pH wash and see you all in a bit. All right, everyone. So before we get started with, washing the vehicle in general, putting on the foam, Primus, what we're going to do is see the water behavior on a dirty panel with a C6 Diamond. This is exactly 7.5 months in, and here we go. As you can see, the water behavior is still pretty good, and that stain that was here, now in terms of the glass, that is Labo Cosmetica HPC 2.0. That's what I have. Now the front windshield is the same thing. I put Labo's HPC. Still performing extremely well on the windshield as well. So that is pretty much it. So time to foam on Primus, and we are going to let that dwell. Then we are going to rinse it off. And then what I'm going to do is foam on Reset on the panel. So this is Primus 1:5. I have it at its strongest dilution, just so I can get 90% of this dirt, grit, and grime off. And that is pretty quick and easy. So in the meantime, I'm just gonna dump this out, probably inside a different you know what, I'm gonna dump this out in the sink because I cleaned this out in the sink. And going to fill this up to 500 mils. Right around here. Which 500 mils is exactly 16 ounces of water, pretty much. And I am gonna dilute Yum Reset in a stronger dilution. Now, inside your bucket wash, you want it anywhere between, say, 1.5 ounces to 3 ounces for your bucket wash. Now, I don't really necessarily, I guess, need it super strong, but in here, this is 8 ounces. So this is about 6 ounces in here. So I am going to put, for like a 1:4 dilution, it's 3 ounces right there, 4, just like that. And I'm gonna save this too for the bucket wash. Now you don't need to, you know, have it super diluted like I do right now. The only reason why I am doing it this way is because of the simple fact that it was sitting outside. And you know, I just really want to make sure I tackle those water spot minerals for sure. It was raining, you know, on and off here in South Carolina. Then it was hot. Then it's, you know, I just really want to, you know, deep clean the pores of the paint. And this is something where I tell people, this is cheap insurance. This is your cheap insurance as a detailer, as a DIYer. You're going to pay the big bucks if you're going to slightly neglect it or leave it outside, or it's going to just get beat up for 2 to 3 weeks or maybe a month straight. So it is something to keep in mind. Now, the last time I truly washed this car was, I want to say, when I did the decon wash. And then from there, I did a quick rinseless wash for that rinseless wash video, which was the Hydro Save. That was the last time I actually washed this car, was when I did the Hydro Save video. So that was in December. So it was pretty much a month straight of pretty much neglect. So I really want to tackle these minerals for sure. So as that's dwelling, I am going to put, they recommend 50 mils to 150 mils for your bucket wash. So I am 30 mils is 1 ounce. You know, 50 mils is pretty much an ounce and a half. So I am going to pour 1.5 ounces, and I got my measuring cup right up over here. You know, I'm just gonna eyeball it just because I don't know, people take my stuff up in here in this garage. It's kind of annoying. So I am going to put 2 ounces right here. It's about 2 ounces. And that is what I got left. So 2 ounces in my bucket wash. Grab my wash mitt. And I let pre-mist dwell for as long as possible. I'm sorry this is taking a bit longer than expected, but this is showing you how to properly do a 2 pH wash. So it dwelled for as long as possible, and we are ready to start rinsing off. Spray away from the car, so that's why I sprayed this on the floor, and we are ready to rinse off. And that is what we have. So we rinsed everything off, nice and neat. I'm not worried about getting every single sud off the paint. That's not the case here. And we are ready to just swap over to Yum Reset, foam it on, and let it dwell for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then do our contact wash. So same thing applies here. And Yum Reset is super foamy, as you could tell right away. And this is what you have left, as you can see. So now that Yum Reset is on the paint, foam's on nice. Now in terms of smell, you know, Yum Reset kind of has a little bit of that Yum rinseless wash type of smell. I do like it. Is it my favorite? No. If I had to choose between Purifica and Reset, I'll probably choose the smell just of Purifica, but that is just the smell. Now, In terms of sudsing action, in the foam cannon, I prefer Yum Reset on how it foams up over Purifica. But as you all know, I don't like to use acidic foam washes or acidic shampoos in a foam cannon. Typically, I would put it inside a foamer, and I will show you right here. Typically, I put it in here. So I put it in here. This is Purifica diluted 1:20. And the only reason why I didn't put it in the foamer is because I already have that in there. So I did use it in a foam cannon. So you will use more product if you put it inside a foam cannon. Now, if you put it in a foamer diluted 1:20 or whatever recommended dilution ratio for Yum Reset, I'm just giving Labo for example. If you use it in a 1:20 dilution ratio instead of a 1:5 in a foam cannon, then guess what? 1:20 will give you the purest true dilution, and you're using less product because you're not worried about that extra water going in. So that is something to keep in mind always, for sure, when you're talking about foaming on product. And I used to do this all the time. Same thing with Primus. If you don't have a pressure washer, you can use your garden hose. Buy an Ely hose. I'm not sponsored by Ely, but buy an Ely hose and gun, and it is fantastic. And then all you have is your two foamers. If you got your IK Pro 12s, if you have something like that, or a keg foamer, what you could do is have your products already pre-diluted inside your foamers and just have it set. You have 1:20, let that dwell, rinse it off with your garden hose. I've done this plenty of times in New York, and it was always just very easy to use. Now, I just use the foam cannon because it's convenient. I have it here, everything's already hooked up. It is what it is at this point. But in terms of my acidic wash, I like to use the MJJC, or I said MJJC, but the quiver we all know is the MJJC B2. But in terms of that is I like to put my Primus in there, and then my Purifica, I leave it here so I don't have, you know, to carry two separate foamers per se. So yeah, so enough talking because I was letting this dwell because you want your chemicals to dwell and eat as much as possible those minerals. And time to foam up this bucket right here, and we are ready for the contact wash. Now, in terms of slickness, for traditionally for acidic soaps, they're not really the slickest soaps out there. They're not going to be super slick like your pH neutral soaps and stuff like that. They're going to be a little bit more on the grabby side. And this is not the slickest soap, but it is still slick. And as you can see, the separation of the water in terms of, or the separation of the soap on the panel, so the ceramic coating is rejecting it. And that is what you want, right? This is going to attack the minerals. It has zero protection on here. All it's going to do is attack those water spot minerals and deep clean the pores of the paints. So that is what I am seeing here. Nothing bad to say on it at all. It is doing what it is saying it does. And as you saw when we were rinsing off the water, whoops, almost slipped. As we were rinsing off the water, we all saw that, I said rinsing off the water. When we were rinsing off the paints before we did the, you know, the foaming, we saw the water beading action. So obviously we all know the water beading is there. It's just 1 month of neglect of no car washing, but I don't trust, say, fallout water, you know, the water that's outside, rainwater, or if it was near, again, at the dealership by the body shop, you all know that they have, you know, probably a little bit of overspray. Who knows what the hell happens, right? I just rather do this to feel better. So that is it on this part. Is just you really want to make sure you grab every single piece of surface. And in terms of Primus, it takes care of 90% of that dirt, grit, and grime easily. And I'm making this video a little bit longer than I typically do. I did have some recommendations of making my videos a bit longer, And that way I'm not speaking too much on the outro, even though it's just, I guess people like to see the entire process. And I do have my Franco stick shift, but that is for the second part of the, for next week's podcast, is how to apply a ceramic coating on your wheel, because I did get a new wheel. And yeah. Now in terms of Primus, we all know Primus removes 90% of that dirt, grit, and grime. I've done that 110 times since, I want to say 2-3 years ago, even with a garden hose. You all know what I think about Labo. They make fantastic products and never have anything bad to say on them. So yeah, now in terms of everything else, this soap, it's not bad at all. I like the cling time. I like the way it clings. It is slick. It's not the slickest. We're not here for slickness. We're here for the cleaning power that we are looking for. That is what we want. I want to make sure it actually cleans the pores of the paint, revives the coating, remove those water spots. That's what I want to see afterwards. Once we're done rinsing off, is see if it removed those little early water spot minerals that were there. Because we don't want none of that. And what I'm going to do here is just rinse off. And let me bring you all in close. And as you can see, the beads are a lot tighter than from, of course, when it had dirt, grit, and grime and traffic film on the paint. So it is absolutely great. So, all right, I'm gonna rinse this down and I will see you all on the outro, because we are finished. And if you guys want to see how the water beading is doing on the side that was hit, well, of course, it is still even performing near the accident. Oops. Look at that. Even where it got hit, look. Even where it's bent. So, see y'all in a bit. All right, everyone. So thank you all for tuning in. And what do I have to say about Yum Reset? Well, here you see the walk around. No more water spots on the car. This was pretty much 2 weeks of neglect. You know, heat, cold, rain, sitting outside by the mechanic shop, body shop, you know, in an industrial area. So I just really didn't want those minerals to stick in and deal on there. And I said deal on there, stick in and just, you know, dwell themselves onto the paint. And yeah, so this is why I did a full 2 pH wash. Now, in terms of Yum Reset, in terms of smell, what do I think of it? I don't hate it. I don't like it. It just, to me, I'm neutral. There's other people that don't like the smell. I don't mind it. It kind of reminds me a little bit of their rinseless wash. It's kind of in the same spectrum, a little bit of a tropical scent. And then in terms of the cleaning power, it did pretty good. I mean, you saw I foamed on Primus, let that dwell. Then I rinsed it off, and then I applied this for the, foamed it on for the contact wash. Now, how would I compare this to Purifica, which I'm sure most of you all will ask me, is in terms of Purifica, if you're going to use this inside a foam cannon, you will get better dilutions or better foam with the Yum Reset than you will traditionally with Purifica. Now, in terms of cleaning power, I want to say they're pretty much the same. You really want to use an alkaline soap first before you do this, because you're not going to get the best clean or the best demineralization of the paint or cleansing of the paint if you don't clean the paint first. That is the way it goes. If you have a super dirty paint, don't expect just to foam this on, rinse it off, foam it on again, do your contact wash and expect wonders, right? This really works best as a your secondary step. That's why we did a 2 pH wash. In terms of slickness, as you saw, slickness just worked. It wasn't super slick and it wasn't super sticky, because most acidic soaps, whether you're using Carpro D-Scale, Purifica, most acidic soaps are grabby by nature, and I'm guessing that is because of the demineralization of the paint, of demineralizing and cleansing the paint. So that is something. So it worked extremely well. Now in terms of dwell time, it did dwell fairly well. I did over dilute this. I don't have the full dilution ratio. I just use it as I kind of would with Purifica, right? If I did it in a 1:5 dilution with Purifica, that's pretty much 5 ounces of water of product, and I ended up putting 2.5 ounces of product because it's an 8-ounce container. And you saw me put 2.5 ounces inside that foam can, and it foamed and cleaned extremely well. And you saw it start to disperse, or my coating come back. As you first saw when I first wiped it, it was still sticking on there, but the longer you let Reset dwell, which you want any soap, right? The longer you let it dwell, it's gonna work for you. And you saw I let that dwell first when I foamed it on. Then when I cleaned my hood, you saw at first it was just pretty much flat, and then you saw it just separate quickly, and it was working the way it intended, and you saw the water beading action at the end. So it came out pretty good. I have nothing bad to say. Now in terms of cost, Purifica and Yum Reset are pretty much in the same spectrum. I think it's $97 for 4.5 liters of product, and this is $110 for 5 liters of product. And then if you're gonna go for the 16 ounce, or they sell this at a 16 ounce, but if you go for the liter for Purifica, Purifica will beat Yum Reset in price, because for a liter you get you pay $22 for the liter, or $27 for the liter, and for Yum Reset you're gonna pay $22 for 16 ounces. So you know, in terms of costs, they're pretty much close in terms of you get the gallon part, but if you're gonna try it out once each, then they're pretty much in the same cost. Obviously, you're gonna get more Purifica. And in terms of dilution ratios, I kind of like the Purifica dilution ratios a little bit better. And if you are going to use an acidic soap, I always recommend using a foamer. You get the truest dilution there. I always keep, as you saw, my Purifica inside the foamer, just because it's just gonna last there for a while. And you use distilled water, keep it there. It's gonna last you 2 to 3 months, and then just redo it again. So yeah, so hopefully you all enjoyed this type of content. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and other than that, I will see you all on the next one. And yeah, peace.